This episode of Sideline Warning is brought to you by Roosport, makers of the original magnetic running pouch. Whether you're biking, running, hiking, or even traveling, the Roosport clips to your waistband with magnets for an easy, convenient way to carry what you need without the bulk of belts or bags. Visit theroosport.com and take a look at their products, sizes, and colors and find the Roosport pouch that's right for you. That's theroosport.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sideline Warning, the show where sports takes are sure to go way too far into the field. Here to recap this week's biggest and best sports stories are your hosts, Dave Adams, Ben Foster, and Adam Russell.
Everybody, welcome into Sideline Warning, episode 37. And as always, you have the golden voice of the Southeast, the one, the only, Dave Adams, all the way coming to you from Huntsville, Alabama. Actually, I'm a little outside of Huntsville. We'll call it Huntsville, we'll call it Harvest, whatever. But I have brought my friends along all the way down from Birmingham, Alabama, the one, the only, Hollywood Ben Foster. What's going on, Ben?
Dave, your fascination with geography fascinates me.
I mean, you have to have something. You have to have something to give them in the kicker.
You do have to have something, so I'm hoping you have a number of Orlando suburbs. What do you got?
Oh, you ready for this? I got some fun ones. All right. So, well, first off, Ben, concerts? Any of them this week?
Nothing too big. There were a few good things out there, but August is usually pretty quiet. The fall is when things really pick up. Okay, you said August is really festival season, so no festivals, kind of quiet on the concert front. No, the bands are away. They will be near soon. Okay. So here we go. All the way from Florida. We know he's from Florida. From the House of Mouse, from Lake Mac Forest Hills, from Okahumpka, from Orlo Vista, from Lake Hart, from Lake Helen, from Lake Catherine, the one, the only Adam Russell.
I'm pretty sure next week you're going to start naming off individual subdivisions in the Orlando Metroplex. You're getting down really specific now. I love it. I swear you were an urban planner major in college, but you weren't because you're the golden voice of the Southeast. So,
I know.
Yes.
Adam, what would be your favorite lake around there?
East Lake Toho. That's the one here in town.
That's not on my list.
If you look at a map, it's huge. But it's a lake. It's not really a suburb. It's a lake.
Huge?
So
Is it huge? Okay.
It's huge. It's really great. It's a great lake.
I just have to say.
But not the Great Lakes.
It's terrific.
I'm looking at all of these suburbs of Orlando, and I'm looking at all these fun names. And for some reason, the name Okahumpka sticks out to me. And I have no idea where that is, but it says hump in the middle of it. And I mean, it just kind of made me laugh.
That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for this week.
Well, we've got our outtakes. We'll cut that for the end of the show.
Yeah, the only Okahumpka I could tell you about is there's a service stop on the turnpike that's got a gas station and a little food court and that kind of thing, and it's the Okahumpka Service Plaza. That's the only Okahumpka I'm aware of. But
so
I'm sure there's one. I'm sure there's one dude that lives there. Yeah.
Is it on the hump? Yeah. Is it on the expressway there?
Yeah, it's on the turnpike. Yeah.
It's on the turnpike. Oh, sorry, turnpike.
I'm just saying, if you're going to use real names, let's be specific. You know.
Okay. So if you want to be specific, let's talk about what's happened in college football this week, because there has been some college football news, and you know, I was scrolling through Facebook. I think it was Thursday, maybe Friday, and I was scrolling through Facebook, and I noticed an article from Saturday Down South, and it says, Louisville wide receiver claims every Cardinals receiver can beat every Alabama defensive back. Guys, why do teams always give Alabama bulletin board material? Alabama doesn't need it.
I feel sorry for the guy because if you watch the video on that link, the last 5 seconds, I think, of the video, he actually said something that would have been a good way to put it that might not have been on the bulletin board, where he said that he feels like that when it comes to wide receivers for Louisville versus Alabama secondary, their talent has the upper hand in some ways. That's a good way of saying it. But the problem is the intro to that perfectly logical statement is that they would beat us every time in one-on-one coverage.
Yeah, this is the direct quote. Every receiver in our receiver core can honestly beat every one of their DBs in one-on-one coverage. Now, first off, why in the world does he say that? Because he hasn't seen tape on any of these DBs. Have you seen tape on Patrick Surtain Jr.? Because he's probably going to be your number 1 or number 2 corner starting off this year.
My theory is that the Nick Saban coaching tree is so vast, and there are so many coaches that want to actually be these offensive assistants that review video for Saban, that coaches are intentionally working for Saban to generate bulletin board material elsewhere. I am confident someone at Louisville has some tie to Saban or wants to have a tie to Saban, and therefore they are sabotaging Louisville from within. And
so it's collusion.
I didn't say that. But I did say there's a vast conspiracy out there to generate bulletin board material. Because nobody could be that stupid.
Yeah,
just straight up. You have to have somebody egging you on to push you to that kind of stupidity.
Well, I mean, come on. Look at who their coach is. Paterno's not exactly the brightest guy in the world.
Paterno?
I'm sorry, Petrino, Bobby Petrino. Look, they were both at Louisville at one point in time. Bobby Petrino is not the brightest guy in the world. I'm looking at you, motorcycle riding guy. I mean, come on. First off, Alabama doesn't need this bulletin board material. So why in the world, I mean, teams have done this in the past, and Alabama has come out and put 50 on them like Ben said was going to happen last week. So why do people keep talking about it?
Because they're trying to get psyched up, and they're hoping that they can go out there super confident and somehow strike fear into the guys they're playing. And you know, I think they're preaching to themselves. They're like, if we don't go out there and tell ourselves we're going to beat Alabama, and if we don't yell it in public, we're not going to do it. And I really think it is more like a self-talk kind of thing. They're trying to pump themselves up and make them believe they can do the impossible. And they feel if they go out there in a public interview, say it in public, get it in the newspapers, that's going to make them more accountable. So I think that's what it is. I think these guys run their mouths. They are trying to make themselves seem accountable to the rest of their team and saying, look, we're on the hook. We got to do better than these guys because we already said it. We put it in the papers. Unfortunately, it just doesn't usually work out that way.
Well, hey, I have to give credit to Louisville in the continuum of teams that should talk trash to Alabama. They rank higher than Vanderbilt, so at least they're a little more justified than that dude at Vandy was last year.
Oh gosh, what was that dude's name? Some Samoan.
No one even remembers now. That's what's hilarious about it.
Well, I remember because he talked like a chipmunk.
Yeah, he'd like a helium balloon or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's funny that that guy was talking because just 7 hours ago, it came out that Louisville's star wide receiver Jalen Smith, who had 60 catches for almost 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns last year, had an emergency appendectomy last week, and he might not even be on the field. So not only are Louisville wide receivers talking and running their mouths in the media, they might not even have their star wide receiver on the field. So is this a case of Louisville's mouth cashing checks that their behind couldn't cover?
First off, I hate it for that guy having an appendectomy and missing the first game. But second of all, it's probably good for his long-term prospects on the season to not play against Alabama. When did this quote? Help me get the timetable straight, Dave. When did the quote come out? Before the guy had the appendectomy?
No. So the appendectomy, it said it was a couple of weeks ago, but he still hasn't had anything going on. Going through
so the guy
practice or anything.
So the guy who ran his mouth already knew that their best wide receiver was off the table. Yes. And he still wanted to stick his neck out there and say, "And we got this."
Yes, he did.
That's not smart.
Yeah. Smith said he might be back. He said, "I think I'll be back." That'd be well over 4 weeks after surgery. Everybody's body reacts differently to it, but I feel like I'm pretty good after stuff like that. So he could possibly be back, but he won't be back at full strength because he won't have the full transition and won't have the full training 2-a-days to go through it. So I don't know. Would you expect your star receiver to come back after something like this?
I just appreciate their confidence. Not only as a team do they feel they're athletically superior, but Smith feels that as an individual he's medically superior. That most people would take 4 weeks, but he's really good about stuff like that. So he's going to be back and he'll be ready.
Does Alabama's secondary have all of their appendices?
I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to go on a limb and say probably.
Actually, I think what's going on is this guy didn't actually have appendicitis. He had his appendix removed so he could get faster against Alabama's defense.
He's lighter.
That is what it's taking. In order to beat Alabama, you have to give up some organs to get fast enough. Dave is smacking his face. Well, there are guys sacrificing kidneys out there.
Oh my gosh.
That is what it takes to get fast enough. You've got to cut weight, and these are desperate measures.
I've got a 1/4 pound edge in my 1-on-1 matchup this week because I had an appendectomy.
Are we really?
I think it'd be more like he had an Alabama-dectomy so he doesn't have to face it.
Oh my! Are we really stooping that low? That is the reason?
I am finding any possible way to explain this because this is such grade A stupidity that I can't figure out a way to explain it by any just straight up normal means. So I've got to get creative with the explanation. But Dave, here's my question to you. Well, why are you not taking up for the Louisville wide receivers? You're the guy who is always critical of Nick Saban and critical of Nick Saban's coaching of the secondary. You're the one that says the secondary underperforms. It doesn't produce enough NFL guys. Why are you not advocating that the Louisville wide receivers can beat them?
Well, because this year, I think it doesn't matter what the defensive backs do. I think Alabama will outscore anybody on the field because I read what happened at the scrimmage yesterday, and it sounds like Tua was slinging the ball around, so it doesn't matter what Louisville does. Alabama's going to be able to outgun you. It's going to be an outgun type team this year.
So are you calling for a shootout?
I don't know. I mean, so what I read yesterday was it will have to be the Alabama offense carrying this team because the defense looks young, and they are, but it will have to be the Alabama offense. So I am going to call for a shootout. I'm going to say it. Here is my prediction right now. We're 3 weeks away from our prediction or 2 weeks probably away from our prediction podcast. But I'm going to say it right now. Both teams will be in the at least upper 20s. Louisville will score 28 or less, or more, 28 or more. Alabama will score 50 or more. That's my prediction.
Okay.
I'm struck speechless.
Dave is seeing some holes in the defense.
So where do you think that hole is the most, Dave? Do you think it's the secondary to Ben's point, or do you feel like there's another spot they're going to have to make up for?
Well, think about it this way. We lost every piece of that secondary this year. Plus, Rashard Evans is gone. He was the quarterback of the defense there and linebacker. Tim Williams is gone. He was the ball hawk. You've lost pretty much everybody that was big on that defensive line. Raekwon Davis is still there. But I'm going to say it. I think that Alabama being young in defense is going to surprise some teams this year and make it easier to score on Alabama. Alabama's offense is going to have to carry the team.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think the only saving grace is that we've got the right tools in place to have a good enough run defense that it's going to make teams one-sided enough to balance it out somewhat. But I agree. I've seen predictions where we could have it as worse as the 9th passing yards allowed per game in the SEC this year based off just what some of the pundits think. And that's pretty bad.
That's very bad. So, I do know that it's going to be a lot of texting between me and Adam. Holy crap, we're rolling deep. When they throw the ball, it's going to be me texting back and forth. Oh my God, 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 oh my God.
That's it. Every year.
I'm not questioning the athleticism on Alabama's defense, and that's why I think the Louisville wide receivers are so absurd to stick their necks out. But if there is a question on defense, to me, because of the youth, it's not the athleticism that I worry about, but the sophistication of the defense. Some of these guys that are running the defense for Saban in previous years have been very sophisticated because they've been in the system for 2 or 3 years. With this defense being so young and having a new defensive coordinator in Tosh Lupoy, I don't know that they're going to be able to have as sophisticated calling, getting the messages out there. To speed things up in the recent years with the final years of Kirby Smart and this last year with Jeremy Pruitt, they were splitting up the defensive calls into 2 different sets of signals. So that way the secondary was getting a defensive set of signals, and the linebackers and the defensive line were getting a set of signals. And I just don't know that you're going to be able to get that complexity out there and get those kind of signals out there to the defense to make the right adjustments for mobile teams like Louisville, potentially Auburn. I think that's where there's going to be some challenges.
I kind of disagree with that, Ben, because there are some seniors on this team. Anthony Jennings is back. Anthony Jennings is going to be probably one of the quarterbacks on the team. Anthony Jennings is there. Dylan Moses had to play that part for a couple of games when Rashad Evans was out. So Dylan Moses knows what he's doing. You've also got Mack Wilson. And I think, even though he's a freshman, Patrick Surtain Jr. knows what's going on. His dad played in the NFL. So he probably knows how to go with some complex signals. So I think Patrick Surtain Jr. is going to be that guy in the secondary, and then you're going to see Dylan Moses or Anthony Jennings being the guy in the linebacker pool.
Well, I that's what I'm hoping. But I think if there's a potential for miscues, it's how it plays out in this first game against Louisville. So I do see that potential. But, I'm also predicting Alabama to have a really strong showing in that game. So I'm just saying, if there's a potential for there to be a problem, that's where I think it's going to be, in the communication and in the sophistication.
Yeah. One way where you and I and Adam are able to do some predictions is because we saw an in-depth look at Alabama's training camp this week when ESPN ran their Training Days episode. What was that, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere around that midweek?
Premiered on Thursday, yeah.
Okay, premiered on Thursday, where we saw an in-depth look at how Nick Saban runs his training camp. Guys, what did you think about that episode? Did you see anything new about Nick Saban or the Alabama football program that you didn't already know?
I think for me, the best part is seeing Nick Saban so relaxed at the lake house. I think we all kind of had an idea that was out there, but to have that captured on video, I think that's pretty great, because I think one of the biggest things for Saban to do in these next few years of his career at Alabama is to show more sides of him than just how he gets portrayed. And so I think that's the best part of Training Days, is it shows Saban as a little bit more of a complex figure rather than this just one solid, fierce, win-at-all-costs guy. He's a guy that does know how to loosen up and have a good time, but he also takes his job very seriously.
Yeah, I liked it. There were some of the shots they did of him doing the photo shoots where he was comparing the crew that was doing the photo shoot at 1 minute to one that had done one the day before. And he said they were playing Hotel California and they had snacks and stuff, and you guys are just sitting here having me stand here. And he's laughing with them, And I think a lot of people do have that exact same thing you're saying, Ben, of just that he's always just football all the time, and he's not approachable and all that. And it just shows a completely different side. I didn't learn anything. It is nice to see the lake stuff. I didn't learn anything new per se. I'm excited to see a little bit more of I'm going to say the Last Chance U side of it, where they showed like all the inner workings of how some of those football teams like monitor their players' performance in the educational side and try to prep them for life. That's what I really want everybody to get a look at, is that, yeah, we succeed on the football field. We drive them to succeed there and to do their job there every play, every down. But a lot of what Saban and the program put into these kids is on the life side, like beyond football. What are they actually going to do, and getting them ready for that? I think that's going to be the best thing that this is going to show overall. Yeah.
Now, there were some things that stuck out to me. First 3 were funny because, one, I love seeing Saban interact on the bus coming back from media days. They were laughing, and he said something like, "Oh, y'all gonna feed me food? Y'all feed me just these small little things?" And he said, "Well, I'm just gonna go home, and Miss Terry will have." "Oh no, she won't. She won't ever cook me anything." He's cutting up and just being this funny, I don't know, granddad type character.
Yeah, it was like the relentless pursuit for an oatmeal raisin cookie there for a couple of minutes on the show.
So that was my one of my other ones. Who in their ever picking mind would choose an oatmeal raisin cookie over a chocolate chip cookie? I mean, Nick Saban, come on, man. You are the king of Alabama right now. You could run for governor and win the state of Alabama. But you want an oatmeal raisin cookie over a chocolate chip cookie? Are you crazy?
This is the guy that eats oatmeal cream pies every morning for breakfast, though. He is a man who likes his oatmeal with a little bit of sugar, and that's the oatmeal raisin cookie there.
Now, the oatmeal cream pie, they're awesome. But don't give me raisins. I don't want a raisin. I want a chocolate chip.
I just think he's conditioned. I'm a chocolate chip guy myself, but I just think, Saban has conditioned it. He wants that oatmeal raisin cookie because he is an advocate of the oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah, okay. So, two other things, and then the other thing that wowed me about the football team meeting is, what was the time that y'all laughed the most in this video? Because I'm going to tell y'all mine. I'm going to see if it's the same.
For me, by far, it was Denzel Duvall. Well, actually, it was two moments with Denzel Duvall. The moment where he's sitting at the lake house, like laid back with his visor and sunglasses on, telling stories about Saban. Just the image of him being so relaxed on the dock was just really funny to me. But then, like, building on that, the next segment where he is going and waking up the players, and they find the guy with the teddy bear.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Who was that, by the way?
It wasn't clear, and that guy was so embarrassed he was hiding behind the door. So I'm not 100% sure who it was. But I'm gonna have to go double check that. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm confident someone more observant than I has figured it out and posted it online. So I've got to go double check that.
Yeah, the teddy bear was mine too. I think that one, and it's two things we've already talked about, but that one and where Nick was just complaining about you don't even have time to hand me a sandwich or an oatmeal raisin cookie. Right. It's just those little moments. Yeah, those are my two.
So y'all named some of them, but where I cracked up the most was when they first showed the freshman coming to his lake house. You see these big guys shooting basketball, and then the camera pans over to Nick Saban cutting donuts on this little mini go-kart. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
That was hilarious.
And then you see this utter joy on this 5'3" grown man's face when he dumps like 4 people off of an inner tube.
Did you just say Saban was 5'3"?
He did.
Yes, I did.
That's bulletin board material. That's the end of our podcast.
But I mean, come on, those are two of the funniest moments at all. But the thing that really wowed me the most, I knew Saban was a disciplinarian and a guy that pays attention to the details. But then when they cut to the room of the 50 coaches, because I mean that big, huge room was full of all those coaches. Did you notice that? But then if you zoom in and look at all of the binders behind him, each one of those binders, which probably had 400 to 500 pages, was their game plan for each game. The one that was on the shelf was 2016 Arkansas, I believe.
2011 Arkansas.
Or 2011 Arkansas.
It was pre Brett Bielema.
Yeah, and it was massive. I mean, I think it was 2011 when Mitch Mustaine was there, or was that Ryan Mallett?
I think Mallett was still there in 2011. I think.
Okay. It might have been Mallett. I don't know.
It was easily like a 4-inch D-ring binder. Like there are congressional documents smaller than that.
Yeah, but then if you go and look, he had the game plan for the 2016 Clemson game. He had the game plan for the 2017 Georgia game there in eyesight. He had the 2016 USC game, and that binder was even smaller than the 2011 Arkansas game. So why was that game more important? And why was that game sitting there? Is there something to do with Louisville in that game?
It may not necessarily be more important. It may just be that Saban's that thorough that he's going to review every game ever. And he has the offensive assistants to be able to do it.
He does. Now, go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just going to say, it seemed a little awkward in the room. They didn't seem very participative. Do you guys think that that's the norm, or was it the camera?
Oh, that's
changing that dynamic. You think that
is the norm? Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting too. But one person I did not see in that room. Did you see the champion of life in there?
I don't think they were trying to have everybody in there. There are some certain rules about how the offensive assistants can be used, and so I don't think that was everybody that's paid by the football staff. I think that was all of the specific coaches.
Okay. And the other thing that just blew my mind is when they went into the quarterback room and they're talking to Tua and Jalen and then the other two quarterbacks in there, which is Barker and Jones, which, by the way, I love that baby Barker has his dad's number. Did y'all notice that?
Yeah.
There's a Barker with a 7 back in the Alabama Crimson,
gosh.
and that makes my day. But anyway, just the language that they were using, I had no idea what they were saying. And so it blows my mind that it's a totally different language that these quarterbacks and their coaches speak. Did y'all understand any of it?
Yeah, Dave. Why didn't you get it?
Sure, Ben. Sure.
By the way, 2011 Arkansas was Bobby Petrino's last year at Arkansas.
Oh,
so they are reviewing how Bobby Petrino responds to SEC defenses and how Bobby Petrino plays Auburn. There was a very specific reason why that binder was on top of the stack.
There you go. Thank you, Ben, for looking that up while we're talking.
There's a first time for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to say that there were two other moments. I said I loved Denzel Duvall waking everybody up, and the way he woke up Tua.
Tua and Devontae Smith were my favorite.
The way he woke up Tua saying, "We need you out there throwing pineapples and coconuts." that was absurd, but it also shows how loose this team is, that they can crack jokes like that and everybody's cool with it. So that was pretty good. The other favorite part for me was when Saban is lecturing in the auditorium. He's got the whole team there. He's talking about breaking points, and he's trying to actually loosen the guys up, and he goes, "We found out Waddell's breaking point. He was on the tube last night, and we popped him off the tube, and he got out of the water with a bloody nose. We found out what Waddell's breaking point was." Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the guy's name is Jalen Waddle, right?
Yes, it is.
So Saban, this is the most impressive thing about Saban that I got from training days. Saban can bring in a 5-star blue chip wide receiver who can start as a freshman and still mispronounce his name, and it's cool. That is amazing.
That is very true. And, I said something about how he woke up Devontae Smith. He goes in there with an air horn, blowing it at Devontae Smith's door, saying, "Come on, you catch the game-winning touchdown and you think you can sleep in?" I mean, he's joking around these guys. I love it. What did he say? Something to me? He was calling somebody. No, somebody was watching a football YouTube clip when he woke him up.
Yeah.
He said, "At least it's football."
Yeah.
It blows my mind how loose they are. The other thing that caught my eye too is how they were talking about the differences between Jalen and Tua. And this kind of makes me want to talk about this for a quick second. We said the last couple of weeks, in order to win the starting position at quarterback, you have to win the team. Jalen, his personality in the huddle, his personality with the team, is kind of laid back, loosey-goosey, whatever goes, man, whatever. But Tua is the in there, motivates you, pump you up type player. Now, if you're a football player, which one do you prefer?
I think there's a time for each, to be honest. I really love that Jalen is so cool, calm, and collected, but there's times where I wish he was showing more emotion. And it's great to have the guy that pumps you up, and as long as that guy never gets deflated. The problem with the pump you up guy is that when he's excited all the time, if he ever has a down moment where he's quiet, that takes the air out of your sails too. And so once you commit to being the pump you up guy, you've got to be up all of the time, and that gets tiring.
But not for Scott Cochran, though.
No, because Scott Cochran's always the pump it up guy. I don't know if you guys do this, but when you go to football games, and Adam, since you haven't been to a game under the Saban regime, you need to, in the fourth quarter, if Alabama's up by 50, like Ben says they will be, watch Scott Cochran. He never puts his fours down.
Oh, yeah.
The entire fourth quarter,
yeah,
he has 4 fingers up, and he's jumping, man.
Oh, yeah.
So
at some point, the blood just leaves your arms, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has to. I don't understand how for 30 minutes Scott Cochran can jump up and down and have his fours up.
I really want Scott Cochran to have his own show Like, Training Days is great, and I'm glad that Scott Cochran was about a third of the show, but I would love to see just the Scott Cochran show. I would watch that with popcorn. Like, it would be amazing.
Oh, that wouldn't be DVR TV. That would be watch it as it happens television.
Yeah.
Because that would be the three of us texting back and forth. Oh my gosh, did you see what Scott said that time? Scott Cochran is amazing. Watching what he does with those young men, I don't think I could last for 5 minutes at his training program. Do y'all?
No.
6.5 maybe, but not 5. Yeah, it
Okay.
may be a little longer than that.
Okay. The one thing that we did talk about on our pre-show is where he had them hang from a bar, and he said, hang on as long as you can. I said, I don't know if I can last 6 seconds. But Ben, what did you say?
I said, I think I could break 5 seconds.
Okay.
The way you put it was, you said, I don't know that I could top 5 seconds. And I was like, I don't know. I think maybe under the right circumstances, like maybe, I might be able to do, longer than 5 seconds. I am by no means in that great a shape. I'm not running half marathons like you guys, but I still would like to think that I could hang on a bar for longer than 5 seconds. I haven't tried that in a while, but I think I can do that. So we're gonna have to test this out and see which one of the three of us can hang on a bar the longest.
I'm going with Adam because Adam does spin class.
That's legs though. That's not arms.
That's not. Is he
If
pedaling
I'm
with
hanging
his
from
hands?
my feet, I'm good for like an hour.
Has he got one of those hand crank bikes?
They actually have one of those at my gym. I've been wanting to try it just because it looks fun.
So now that we've seen this first episode of Training Days, and every commercial break there is an ad paid for by the University of Alabama also showing, could there possibly be a better infomercial to convince people to come to Tuscaloosa? Whether you're a football player or even just a high school kid of any sort, could there be anything better to convince you to come to Alabama? It's a heck of a sales pitch.
I mean, I'd like to see the computer labs in the engineering library, but that's
why,
joke.
Adam? They don't have imaginary.
They show that
anymore.
In the commercial break. You see some of the academic stuff. So you see some of the computer labs and academic facilities. And I'm just thinking, if you're a high school kid, how do you even think about going anywhere else?
Well, here's my question on those commercials for Alabama. Why do they never show the strip?
For the very reason, for the very reason that it is the strip.
What is the strip? I was going to say, yes, Dave. I was either at Bryant Denny or the library.
Yeah, or his room studying.
Actually, I think in your day there was a bar called the Library on the strip.
Yes, there was.
Yeah,
I was actually at the library the night they shut it down. That's kind of my claim to fame.
Wow. So,
anyway, hey guys, talking about claim to fame and talking about these training day videos. We've been pushing the Roo Sport pouches, and Adam, tell them how great it is for training days and how it helps you train.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things with training, just like, Alabama's got the good facilities, they have the right coaches, they have the right equipment. Half the battle with training for anything is having everything you need so that you can be comfortable and take at least one thing off your mind when you're out there. And I think that's what Roo Sport really gets, at least helps me with, is instead of having an uncomfortable belt or having something heavy you have to lug around, it just clips to your waistband. It's really low profile. It's really lightweight, but it holds your phone. It holds your house key. It'll hold your gels, that kind of stuff. And I think it's just like Alabama wants to show in this how they have their ducks in a row. They have everything they need. I think this is one of those boxes you just have to check when you're training for something personally.
Yeah, it's easy to have to get caught up with everything that when you go on a run, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to carry my keys, got to carry my phone, got to carry this. And when you get a belt that most people go and buy, it's bulky. It has like, you got your water bottles, you got your big bulge in the front, and it just bounces up and down. And thank you for that look, Adam. It bounces up and down, and it's just uncomfortable and bulky.
Yeah.
But when you got those Roo Sport pouches, you don't feel it really.
Well, one of the things I hate about most belts is eventually the tension area where you pull it tight, let it loose, eventually starts to fail, and then you're constantly adjusting that too. With this, it clips in one spot. That's it. It's not going to slide around. It's not going to loosen up or get too tight. and it just is the way it is, and it's so comfortable when you try to run with it. And I think, as we've talked with Ben a couple of times, it has more uses than just that. I mean, you can use it when you're hiking, you can use it when you're traveling, you can use it in any situation where you just need to discreetly carry stuff. And so I think we've all kind of found our own way to use it.
Yeah, Ben, didn't you say that you got one and you're going to use it for something other than running?
Yeah, I scooped one up just recently, and I'm fired up to try it out. I do get my exercise in, but I'm also going to try to use the Roosport on an upcoming vacation, because I'll be in some spots where it'll be very useful to have a Roosport then and there.
Well, cool. Yeah, Adam and I are actually about to start training for something that it'll make it useful, because you heard us doing the Disney half marathon, the Star Wars half marathon back in April. Well, Adam and I have signed up to do the, I'm ashamed to say this as a grown man, but Adam and I have signed up to do the Disney Princess half marathon in February. Right, Adam?
Hey, I'm running with my wife. What's your excuse?
Hey, no, let's go ahead and put this out there. Blair said
there's no need to put that.
Blair said she's going to run her own race, and you and I are going to be left in the dust. So you are not running with your wife, so don't put that out there. But you're going to get to hear our experience with using the Roosport pouch. Adam, go ahead and tell them where they can get the Roosports.
Yeah, sure. You can head over to theroosport.com. They've got all their different products. They have several different lines, different sizes to fit all the different phones and stuff you might need to carry, a different array of colors. They got their whole product line there. It's easy to order, easy to find the one that's right for you at theroosport.com.
Well, we really appreciate the Roosport coming on and supporting the Sideline Warning here. And, I think something else that we're going to support, unfortunately, we didn't want to support this because we didn't want to have to talk about it again. But the Urban Meyer situation just keeps poking its head into sports conversation. This week, two things have come to light. I want to talk about the really ugly first, and I think I sent this to you guys midweek. My computer is going haywire on me here, and I'm scrolling down. I sent this to you guys yesterday. It has come out that the committee is going to talk to Zach Smith. Well, Zach Smith's attorney, Bradley Kofel, told the Ohio State Dispatch, or the Columbus Dispatch, that Zach Smith will answer all questions he has asked. He also indicated that Smith will request to get his job back. Guys, is Zach Smith some kind of stupid?
No, he's not stupid. What he's doing is he's trying to divert attention from just how bad everything is. And he is doing a pretty standard negotiating technique where he's going to ask for his job back in a way to keep the punishment from being worse than it should be. He's going to say, look, I'm employable and I should be employed and I was wrongfully terminated. And they're going to say, no, we're still keeping you fired. And that'll be the end of it. Instead of, we found out just how terrible you are. And in addition to firing you, we're going to fine you and do this and this and this. And he is trying to push in the opposite direction to continue to push to make it look like he did nothing wrong, when it seems very clear that he has done some very terrible things.
Yeah, and I think that what he's going to lean on there, that based on other reports, is that he was never charged. And the lawyer at least is making it sound like that he hasn't done anything wrong, and there's no reason for him to have ever lost his job. I think everything that's come out puts that into question, but I just, in this day and age that we're in, I just don't know about coming with the, well, I didn't do anything wrong statement. We have a history of it. It's just better if we all move on from this. And I think asking for it is a I wouldn't do it, I'll put it that way. But when you've got him on ESPN, you gave him a chance to explain himself. Right around that same time, Urban Meyer tweeted a statement, that coordinated bullcrap they pulled off. I think that between his lawyer and all the people that have talked to him, they're encouraging him to do it, that you didn't do anything wrong. But it's better for everybody if he just rides off into the sunset and finds something else to do.
But it's absurd for him to ask the investigative committee to give him time off, because Urban Meyer fired him. We're questioning Urban Meyer's judgment about not doing enough, and Urban Meyer still found cause to fire him.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Here's my thing. Y'all bring up the fact that he's never been charged. You're right. He's never been charged. But if a judge finds reason to give his wife a restraining order, there's a reason why he got that restraining order. Judges don't just willy-nilly give you a restraining order. So if a judge finds reason to give a restraining order, your butt did something. So I don't know. That just is what keeps resonating in my mind.
Yeah, there's no reason to bring this guy back. Even if you find out a lot of the things weren't as bad as they first appeared, which I don't think would be the case, this guy has still caused so much controversy and turmoil to the program, he would be a colossal distraction for it. And that's why I just don't see any way, even if you found out a whole bunch of the stuff wasn't as bad as it sounds, which I don't think will be the case, you can't bring this guy back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of investigative stuff, it looks like, so on Saturday as well, Ohio State insider Jeff Snook released an explosive new report where he said that Texas coach Tom Herman was Brett McMurphy's source. Now, keep in mind, Tom Herman served on Urban Meyer's staff at Ohio State before he went to Houston in 2015. Well, Tom Herman has come out and said, no, I didn't. But the same time Tom Herman came out and said he was not the guy, another report came out and said why Tom Herman was the whistleblower. And I'm going to read this. This is from, I don't know exactly where this quote is from. It's the same guy, the same Jeff Snook. It's just a different article from Saturday Down South. The quote says, they wanted Zach Smith fired, one source said. They had some dirt on him and wanted him off the Ohio State staff. The Hermans have even helped pay for Courtney Smith's legal fees, two of the sources tell me. Tom Herman's motive? Well, Herman was furious after five-star receiver Garrett Wilson committed to Ohio State in April over Texas. Wilson played at Austin Lake Travis High, just miles from the Longhorns campus. Zach Smith was the Buckeye primary recruiter in getting Wilson's commitment. Who is more at fault here? This is so petty that Tom Herman knew what was going on with Zach Smith, but he didn't want to blow the whistle until he lost a recruit. I mean, has football gotten that big of a deal in Texas that we put a wife's life in jeopardy until we have to use this fuel?
If they've helped pay for her legal fees, if there's any truth to that, there comes down to whether or not anybody did anything wrong. But it doesn't feel like if any of this stuff has any merit and any basis in truth, there's a whole lot of people who are not doing what's right. And I think that's the disappointing thing out of this is you do have somebody whose life is being impacted by this, who felt threatened by her husband enough to go after a restraining order, and everybody's using that as a pawn in a game to keep their job, lose their job, keep a recruit, lose a recruit. If any of that has a basis in merit, then yes, college football has reached an entirely ridiculous plane at this point.
And I hate saying that because college football is the season I look forward to the most. Baseball was always my first love, but when the leaves change colors, when you get that crisp fall feel in the air, football is life in the South.
Well, it's Texas and Ohio State. Let's just all ignore the Big 12 and the Big 10.
I'm okay with that, but I mean, Urban Meyer, this started in the SEC. I hate to say it.
It does seem like some of this ties back to Florida, and I definitely have had that thought where a few times where it's like, well, nothing's happening in the SEC. That's kind of nice, and then you go, wait, they're actually trying to get Jeremy Foley to comment on this, and he's not saying anything. That tells you just how bad it could be at Florida,
right?
And and while you can point at different conferences, at some point you got to say this really could happen anywhere, and you hope that it's not happening at your favorite school.
I truly don't think it's happening in Alabama. I can't say I know, but I do know the type of person Nick Saban portrays himself to be, and it doesn't seem like this is the type of thing that Nick Saban would put up with.
But that's the type of person Urban Meyer portrayed himself to be. Urban Meyer has books about how much character matters. Like he's written books about the winning attitude depends a lot on character and doing the right thing. And then we have this. All of these guys, and I'm not saying all of them are doing what Urban Meyer's doing, but all of these guys are trying to portray themselves in the best light because it's in their financial interest and in their coaching interest to look as good and squeaky clean as they can.
Yeah, and I'll say this, Urban Meyer might have books out there about character and everything like that, but even back at Florida, we kind of knew that was a sham. I mean, like I said last week, look at how his team was run at Florida. Did he put his players out there to make them look like gentlemen, or did he kind of just sweep that under the rug? When Alabama has players that mess up, Nick Saban lets you know in the media, hey, this guy messed up. And their punishment. They're punished.
But there are also people that are critical of Saban for bringing guys back and not punishing them more thoroughly. So there are some guys that have been arrested that have gotten opportunities to stay on the team where other schools would have kicked that guy off. And that's a place where some people have been critical of Saban. And I'm not saying which is the right way or not. I personally like that Saban's been kind of merciful with some of these guys. But it's also hard to not say, hey, I'm an Alabama fan, I want to see these guys on the field, and in certain situations where there has been domestic violence and things like that, Saban has done the right thing with the players and dismissed them completely. So that's a very different thing than a guy getting a DUI or something like that. But you want your coaches to do the right thing. But everybody thought Urban Meyer was doing the right thing at Ohio State.
Yeah, but it is a thing with him. You're right. It is a sham. I mean, Ronnie Wilson, for Pete's sake, right? Dude punches a guy, confronts him, goes into his trunk, pulls out an AK-47 and fires it in the air while the dude's on 911 so the cops can find him. He got a practice jersey back, right? He was let back on the team. When that kind of stuff is allowed to happen, and then you see it followed Ohio State where now you have questions, whether or not any of this has merit, whether or not he gets fired, whether or not Zach Smith got his job back, or whether or not he was charged with anything, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's way too much smoke that swirls around this guy in Urban Meyer wherever he goes, where he just allows too much to happen until he gets caught, and then he wants to spend more time with his family, or then he says he did the right thing, and it's just when everybody shines the light on him and points the finger at him, he then becomes this really gracious guy who did the right thing and wants to do the right thing. But the other 364 days in the year, there's always something like this that's going on in his programs.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just counting down the hours or the minutes until we find out that Urban Meyer's had a heart failure again, or heart trouble again, and he's going to retire.
He'll be on Fox Sports instead of ESPN this time.
Yeah, he wants to spend time with his family.
Yep.
Well, guys, we're not going to get started on this again because I can go for another hour about talking about how bad Urban Meyer is. But that's our news for the day. We wanted to do a fun short show. But guys, let's go ahead and end it. Let's give them some sideline warnings and let them come back next week where we can talk about some happier football. Y'all want to do that?
That sounds good to me.
Actually, Ben, there's another topic we got to talk about. Let's talk about something happy.
I was gonna say.
This is 2 weeks in a row.
Dave is so anxious to get to the sideline warnings that
I got a fun one.
Well, there's two happy things. One, the Braves are in first place right now.
Yeah.
And they hold a percentage point over the Phillies at the current moment.
Well,
so a thousandth of a percent.
On Sunday.
We're recording on Sunday, and so at the moment the Phillies would be in the wild card based on just the most minuscule math. I'm going to have Adam explain it to us. So that's a good thing. With the Braves having a series against the Marlins, I am hoping that will be able to, that trend will continue. But kudos to Brian Snitker for how he's handled all the players. They're playing 9 games in 7 days, and they're playing something like 23 straight days without a day off, I think is what it is. So it's absolutely absurd. And what are the Braves doing? They're moving up in the standings. Their record is improving. so kudos to Brian Snitker and Alex Anthopoulos and everybody, all the players on the team, for doing a great job during the time when they've really got to shine. Taking 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, potentially a wild card team, is a really good sign. That's something you want to see at this time of year.
And I have to say, I wasn't crazy about the Gaussman trade. We talked that ad nauseum a while back. I was wrong. I will say it. I was wrong. If he continues the way he did the other night, I'll be happy with that. So.
Even the sun shines a dog's butt every now and then.
We'll see. There's something magical about getting out of Baltimore, and I hate that for the Orioles, but I love that for the Braves.
I mean, even Tehran can pitch a good game every now and then, so I'm not going to...
Julio looked okay over the weekend. So there's a little bit of good news from the Braves, but I think the good news you were really talking about, Dave, is the addition of Kira Lewis to the Alabama men's basketball team. It's August.
Ben's got to get basketball in here.
Look how happy he is.
It's August.
Look at how happy he is.
He is glowing over there. He's wearing that orange shirt. It makes his face glow again.
This shirt is red. I've got to get better lighting. The addition of Kira Lewis to the Alabama men's basketball team gives us a splendiferous reason to talk about men's basketball in August, which is something that wouldn't have happened before Avery Johnson took control of the program. And it appears that the main reason why this happened was because Antoine Petway went out there and got this recruit. And so that's pretty amazing. Kira Lewis was going to be part of the 2019 class. He was trending towards Alabama, and it appears now that Alabama has convinced him to come on a year early. He is reclassified, so he will play an entire season in a Crimson Tide jersey at 17 years old, and that's pretty impressive. So
has he graduated high school yet?
I don't know the ins and outs of how the reclassification works, but you can sort of finish high school under certain ways. I don't know if it's a block schedule thing or if it's a GED thing, but somehow they figured out a way to get him college eligible a year early. He is eligible, and I think there's a huge potential for him to be starting on this team as the starting point guard at 17 years old. He's not Colin Sexton, but he is a very talented 5-star point guard, and he's going to be able to make some amazing contributions for the team. You put that with Tevin Mack and some of these other guys that weren't on the court last year, and Alabama is going to be looking pretty sharp when you put guys that are returning like Petty and Jones and Ingram out there on the court as well. So, not to mention Dante Hall. So, Alabama's now got a lot of depth. Adding Kira Lewis is a huge addition. So, it's a pretty exciting time for Tide basketball, which is not something we'd expect to have here in August. Pretty cool.
So, give me your potential starting five, Ben.
That's tough. I think, Avery Johnson does not have a real rotation. So, it's always going to be situational. It's never going to be set. But I think there is a strong potential for Dazon Ingram to be your first guy off the bench and lose his starting spot. Because I think you could be starting, Kira Lewis at 1, John Petty at 2, 3 and 4 would be Herbert Jones and Tevin Mack, and Dante Hall at 5. And I think you could have a scenario where Petty sometimes is your sixth man coming off the bench and Ingram starting and things along those lines. But I think your top 5 is going to have Kira Lewis and Tevin Mack in it. And I think actually the ceiling for Alabama may be 4 guys going to the NBA draft.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
Well, there's a lot. Well, and I take that back because Kira Lewis is going to have to hang on for a year, so it'll probably be 3 guys. I think Petty and Herbert Jones are both going to get some serious looks for the draft. And I think Tevin Mack is sort of uncharted territory. If Mack plays as well as I think he could, I think you're going to be looking at him pretty strongly for the NBA. And Kira Lewis, I think you'll have 2 good seasons out of him before he's off to the NBA.
Just before we end this basketball talk, I do want to remind everybody, this is what I am until I see something, okay? What you just heard is the sound effect of somebody being unbuckled. So
that is the worst sound effect ever, Dave.
Okay, well, it was
that could have been any number of things.
It was the unbuckling. It was the unbuckling of an airline.
It sounded to me like somebody closing the notebook from the 2011 Arkansas game.
No, that would be more like a
thump. It sounded to me like a Ohio State football player cocking a gun, but
But just to remind everybody, until I see a product put on the court, I am firmly unbuckled. So, Ben, our guys are going to have to prove something to me on the court.
Well, I think they will, but
okay,
time will tell.
Just remember, in December, you and I have a firm time to go watch the team together. So, all right, guys,
we'll be set.
So there's our happy talk at the end of our sad football talk, right? So, Ben, hit him with your sideline warning, man.
Well, we mentioned earlier in the show about the training days show for Alabama and how great Scott Cochran is. And I have also been impressed over the past few summers how great it is to watch athletes that are doing their summer workouts, and how amazing that Scott Cochran is the best of them all, but there are a ton of schools that have amazing strength and conditioning coaches that are producing great summertime videos, which is just a little taste for football fans over the summer. One of my new favorites is the Oregon strength and conditioning coach, Aaron Feld, who actually spent a little time in Alabama as an assistant strength coach and spent some time at Georgia. We are in the age of celebrity strength and conditioning coaches. They have their own personalities, they have their own ways of firing guys up, and they also have their own ways of bringing guys to huge gains. So it is great to see guys like that getting their recognition. Usually those weight room guys would have been pushed back into the shadows, and it's cool now that they're getting some attention. But unfortunately this week, a strength and conditioning coach by the name of Rick Court found his name in the news, not because he was posting popular videos on Twitter, but because he has been highly involved in head coach DJ Durkin's death camps. I don't know a better way to put it. That's what's going on, and you can call it that, because unfortunately a Maryland player has passed away from participating in Maryland's training camps. And that player deserves to have his name read, and his name's Jordan McNair. And it is terrible that this athlete, this student, this child, 19 years old, has passed away. The University of Maryland has not conducted themselves properly, and it should be a clear, plain, and simple rule for high school coaches, for college coaches, for NFL coaches. If a player dies on your watch, you and your entire coaching staff are never allowed to coach again. If you put a rule that harsh in place, you will never hear of a football player dying on the field again. From training camp, workouts, you will never hear of that happening again if you put the right rules in place. DJ Durkin should not see the field again. This guy, Rick Court, the strength and conditioning coach, should never see a gym again. We talk a lot about the cost of football and how much money's involved, the influences that are going on, but it's never more valuable than any single human life. And it looks like the University of Maryland forgot about that. So that's my sideline warning.
Well said, Ben. I think we kind of made a point to say earlier, is football getting to this to where we forget about the value of a life. And football is a game. We love it. We value it in the South as more than it should be. But we need to really remember, football is a sport. It's a game. It's something that we do for fun. And it should never be more than just fun. Well said, Ben. Adam, I hope you have more of a upbeat sideline warning, because that kind of brought us down a little bit.
I have one that to me is just sad. It's not sad like heartfelt sad, but it's sad. So the black bear is no more at the University of Mississippi.
Colonel Reb is no more.
I know. And hey, you know what? I am all for, remembering players that used to work for the team that pass away. And, that we talked about this young man. I hope that Maryland does do, the proper way to handle his legacy and remember him. But the way Ole Miss has decided to remember Tony Fain, who was a linebacker for them who passed away in 2009, is to make their on-field mascot the land shark. Because Tony was the one that started the hand to the head, fins up hand gesture. And they unleashed this new mascot on the world on the 11th of August, so yesterday. And I got to say, guys, I'm underwhelmed. I was the big fan of the Admiral Akbar. Rebels, let's make a Star Wars reference here. I was all for that.
It's a trap.
This at least ties in more with Ole Miss's heritage in the last 9 years than the Black Bear did. That felt like a stretch. This one I'm just not really impressed with, but I will say I am going to make it my own Twitter mission to interact with @LandSharkTony at least twice a week in some way, shape, or form, because he has an active Twitter account and he is replying to people. And I want Landshark Tony to know that I at least appreciate his legacy, even if he looks weird. A shark in a football uniform with shoulder pads on. So I don't know how a shark grew arms.
They're fins, man.
No, it's arms. It's actual arms. No fins.
Do you guys remember that it was a cartoon and some action figures, the Street Sharks?
Yes.
Those guys had arms. Those were sharks with arms.
Yeah. And they're going all in. Not only did Ole Miss launch the new mascot, they've launched 3 new logos, all of which involve a shark and the letter M in different ways. And so they're all in on this one. They're going to take it all the way. If I can have 2 more seconds to do a quick second sideline warning, it's for the state of Michigan, and it's not sports related. I'm sorry, guys. They have figured out that crawfish are invading their ponds and lakes somehow, and it is a problem to the people of Michigan that they all of a sudden have an overabundance of crawfish. They need to deal with this. How are they dealing with this? They called Auburn University to send people up and do a study. So thank you, Auburn.
If you have an overinfestation of crawfish, grab yourself some etouffee and stick those bad boys in it. So and you got some good eating.
If you must call for help, call LSU. Don't call Auburn.
Right. So for me, it's just I picture, and this relates to sports just because we hate Auburn, right? But I just picture a bunch of good ones sitting around the office of whatever the crawfish department is at Auburn. They get a phone call from these Yoopers up in Michigan saying, "Oh yeah, we got all these crawfish. We don't know what to do with them." Like, I'll tell you what to do with them. We'll be up there tomorrow. You know, I just picture it. It's incredible.
You got these good old boys from Auburn just bringing some crawfish baskets.
Right,
man.
exactly.
That's what you're doing.
All I really want to see is Jim Harbaugh talk to a crawfish.
How about we have Michigan play Ole Miss, and we have the crawfish interact with the shark?
Oh, that'd be good.
Hey, Adam, just go ahead and remind everybody where you have your master's from.
The University of Mississippi.
Okay, so you could interact with the land shark.
I could. I have a perfectly viable reason to do that. Yes.
But then your Twitter handle is also Run Tide Run, so I don't know if he would believe.
Well, sharks, tide, ocean, it all goes together.
I really hope the shark speaks with an Australian accent like the shark in Finding Nemo. That's my
hello.
Hello there.
We're sharp friends. How do we always bring Disney into our sports podcast?
I love it, guys. So sorry for deviating. I just thought that was hilarious that Auburn evidently has the right department to handle crawfish studies of some sort. So.
Well, let's just remember the great words of I don't even remember the cartoon. The hillbilly, the squidbillies. Auburn sucks.
I like driving in my truck.
Auburn sucks. All right, guys, I'm going to finish it off with a great sideline warning. I don't know if any of y'all watch golf, but the last couple of weeks, golf has been appointment television again. And it's all because of one man wearing red on Sunday afternoons. Say it with me. Tiger's
Dustin
back.
Johnson. What?
Tiger's back, Jack. Look, golf is better when Tiger Woods is on the prowl on Sundays. You can tell me how bad his personal life is, and it's horrible. Tiger Woods was a horrible man doing what he did to his wife. But to the sport of golf needs Tiger Woods. The sport of golf needs Tiger Woods like NASCAR needs Dale Jr. or NASCAR needs a big name to step up and be who we thought. Adam, do not tell me Chase Elliott because he's boring. I saw that look. I
wasn't going to mention his name.
Okay.
I was. Never mind. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead.
No. You have your turn, please.
Okay. The sport of golf needs that big spearheaded figure. Tiger might have lost today, but he came roaring back, and Tiger was on the prowl. We even got a Tiger fist bump. So, guys, enjoy what we're seeing now because Tiger Woods is back. We might see the 15th major like it almost happened today. I don't know if we'll hit 18, but enjoy it for what it is because we might have good appointment watching golf on TV today. Adam, what were you going to say?
Oh, nothing. It's fine. I have no problem with what you're saying. I think that it brings energy into the sport. I myself am not a fan, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop anybody else from being a fan. It was exciting to see him actually in the race. And I was actually not surprised. Well, I'll say it. I was surprised at the amount of energy in the crowd when he was just putting for par. I mean, it's like everybody feels that was on the course felt the same as you do, that they're ready to see him back. They're ready to see him compete, and it was enough of like a throwback for them that they were getting really excited about. Just a putt for par on like 17, right? I mean, it was a big deal to the people there. So.
Well, and it is good for TV because even people that don't like Tiger Woods tune in because they love to hate him, and that turns people out to watch too. My problem with Tiger, like whether you like him or hate him, that's fine. I don't really care how you came to that conclusion. The issue for me is that for this entire next week, as everyone recaps this tournament, they're going to be talking about Tiger Woods, and no one is going to remember that Brooks Koepka won the thing.
Oh, Brooks Koepka was on fire, man.
But nobody's going to talk about that. They're going to talk about Tiger the whole time, and that's
he's won 2 of the 3 he's competed in. I mean, he's kind of a big deal this year.
I get that Tiger's a compelling story, but all it was leading up to this tournament and all it's going to be after this tournament is Tiger Woods all the time, which is what the media loves, but it doesn't tell the full story because it doesn't talk about the other talented guys that were in the hunt. It's not going to talk about the guys that finished between Koepka and Woods, and they're not going to talk about Koepka.
There was nobody that finished between Tiger and
Did Tiger
Koepka.
finally finish in second?
Tiger finished in
second.
second.
Okay, I thought he held in third.
No, he was in second.
Well, but when you talk about how you arrive at that's one reason that I don't, and it's not necessarily against Tiger. It's the LeBron James thing, right? It's the Tiger Woods thing. ESPN, the media, all these guys, they focus on one person, and that's all they want to talk about. And that's the reason that I dislike seeing him back as much. But hey, I do have to say though, dude needs to leave the hat on. Took the hat off. Huge bald spot. Made me feel old because I remember when he was young. Don't do that again, Tiger. Thank you.
All right. So there you go. There's our sideline warning. I do want to mention one quick thing. I do have to say, as fun as it was seeing Tiger being back, I was a little sad to see Justin Thompson fall off like he did. Gotta get our Alabama shout out in there. But there you go. There's our golf talk streaming from my sideline warning. I don't know if we've ever had golf talk on sideline warning, guys, but that's the end of the show. If you want to call into the show and want us to have a mailbag segment like we did a couple weeks ago, Adam, hit him with those digits.
931-44-BLITZ. One more time, 931-44-BLITZ. And
we did prove that we will play your calls on air, and we will have a mailbag segment. And if you want to call and dump on Ben for calling your town a dumpster fire, please do. Because Ben will oblige and call you a dumpster fire right back.
All in the name of healthy debate.
Exactly. I'm still waiting on Boston or the state of Ohio to call into the show. So any of our fans from Boston or the state of Ohio, call in and represent your state or your city. But anyway, so Adam, those numbers one more time.
931-44-BLITZ.
All right. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at SW The Show. I am at DAdams419. Ben is at TheBenFoster. And Adam has already said that he's going to interact with at Tony Shark, whatever it is. But Adam is Run Tide Run. Adam, what was Tony the Shark's Twitter
Sorry. Tony Shark sounds like if Iron Man was an undersea adventure.
It's Iron Man plus Aquaman.
Are they going to place the Seas with Nemo and Friends and put Tony Stark there?
It's at Land Shark Tony, so stay tuned. That hopefully I can give him a run for his money and make him earn his mascot hood.
All right. So also on Instagram, we're SW The Show. Find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/SW The Show. Also, we're in that Facebook fan group, Sideline Warning Facebook fan group. Also, we still need more teams for our college fantasy football Sideline Warning group. So join into that. But guys, as always, we love you. We'll talk to you next week when there are only 2 more weeks to football season. Woo-hoo! And roll Tide.
gonna do this.
5 seconds.
Oh, I bet I mean, I'm not in the best shape by any stretch of the imagination, but I bet I could get more than 5 seconds. Hanging, right?
When are we all together in the same place?
Are we gonna Skype? Yeah. Are we gonna Skype and have a Skype hanging challenge?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Or are we gonna use a different video connection and have a Google Hangout?
Oh. Wow, what did Kissimmee say now?
Positively Osceola just posted a recipe for chocolate-covered peanut butter stuffed jalapenos.
Nope.
Chocolate-covered peanut butter stuffed jalapenos.
I'll try anything once.
This theory that Chris just put on Geeky Pops. If Harbaugh can't beat Ohio State or Michigan State this year, and the crap at Ohio State doesn't pan out, then that Ohio State fires Urban, and Michigan hires Urban Meyer after they fire Jim Harbaugh.
That's as crazy as chocolate-covered peanut butter stuffed jalapenos.
The difference between that coaching theory and chocolate-covered peanut stuffed jalapenos is that somebody will actually try chocolate-covered peanut jalapenos.